here we are to share some cultural history and possibly some language. Because part of this project is to be able to save your knowledge for future generations and for people within your tribal communities. So, Colleen, go first and tell us who you are.
Well, as a child, my name was Colleen Miller. Now I go by my real name, it's Colleen Mose. I live in West Point. I've been there since I was 7 years old. I went to the school there, high school here in Calaveras County.
Mm-hmm.
And I am of the Washoe and Paiute tribe.
Right. So that's actually pretty close over the hill from the Central Sierra Miwok.
Yeah, they're connected with Alpine County and sour grass and all that.
Okay, it's really nice to realize how connected you are, but then you do have cultural differences that we'll talk about.
Our cultural differences are almost similar, but we have different cultures, different training and things that we grew up with.
How similar are the two languages?
They're different, completely different.
Isn't that interesting?
Except for the word ama.
Oh, really?
In our language, ama is the great-grandmother.
Oh.
In our language, grandma's gu'u.
Okay.
Wow.
So, see, it's
And-
different.
And Mildred, in Miwok language, Ama is grandmother.
Yeah, it means grandmother or great-grandmother.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, so we have to, and Dila is my mother.
Oh, she looks surprised.
Mother in our language is Uta.
Uta.
So,
Well, let's have Mildred, you introduce yourself, and then we'll start sharing some of your stories and some of your, you have a lot to share in terms of growing up in West Point. So,
Okay. I'm Mildred Fern Jeff. I was born in Vallecito, the place they called the 6 Mile Rancheria. And when I was little, we didn't have any electricity or water, running water. And my dad used to have to go to work and come back late. And my brother used to go live with his grandma because she was by herself, well, Amma, I should say. And she couldn't, do the heavy work because she had a broken hip. And so it was my oldest sister, Frances, and I used to live with my mother and dad. And I was always alone. I liked being alone. I'd go out, get up early in the morning, go out, and I'd talk to the little animals because it seemed like they understood what I was saying. And there was this old cow. I'd hear her down over the hill, her bell ringing, and I'd get on top of the hill and I'd watch her come up the hill. So I'd start petting her and she'd start getting used to me. And when she'd be down there, I'd holler from top of the hill, I'd say, Mama cow, she'd come up to me and I'd sing to her and tell her little stories. That was my only friend.
a cow. Right. Describe 6 Mile. Describe 6 Mile. I mean,
6 Mile.
as it was when were you born there? Were you born in a hospital?
No, I was born at home. My grandmother was the midwife. She's the one who delivered me, my sister, and my brother. We were born at home and grew up there. And I guess when I was I'd say about 8 years old, that's when we moved to Murphy's, and my dad got a job there at the little mill. He used to be a lumber piler. And we started school. Well, we started school in Vallecito before, we moved up there. I didn't like school because the teachers were mean to us. And, the only language we knew was our Miwok language. And so they started teaching us English. And I would accidentally say something in Miwok, and she'd grab me by the back of my braid and she'd pull me to the head of the class. And then she'd say, put out your hand. She'd get a ruler and she'd swap me across the hand. She goes, don't say your language anymore. And naturally, that's the only language I knew, so every time I'd say something, and then it'd come out in Miwok, and it's a wonder my hands weren't all busted. That's probably why they're the way they are.
Well, Colleen, you talked about school as well. You didn't like school either, and
No,
why was that?
I didn't like school because I was not taught you have to go to school. I thought, why are they sending me here? Because they don't want me at home.
Oh.
And it was hard going to school because the teachers, like Mildred said, they had no time for you. And the kids were mean to me.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't want to go to school if people were mean to me.
Yeah, they had no time for you. They didn't. They explained to you once, and that was it. But at home, see, my grandmother couldn't speak good English, so she learned from me how to speak English. So it was rough on her too. And plus, she was in a Miwok tribe, but she was from Nevada. She was Washoe.
Is there always that separation between Washoe and Miwok?
No, they got along. They did all their trading back then, you know. They would come over, trade acorn for pine nuts. They done a lot of stuff together.
So you didn't like school.
No,
You have that in common. So you went to school in West Point?
yes, I went to the old school up there, the old oil floor school.
And where did you go to school? In Vallecito?
Vallecito, we had to walk from, oh, it was a long ways, you know, from way out there into Vallecito. And our cousins lived along the road there, so we'd have to go walk with them to school and then walk back home. One day we were walking to school, and these guys in these fire trucks, they had a dead rat, they'd throw 'em at us. They'd think it was funny, but we didn't.
No.
Yeah.
No. Describe the dwelling you lived in.
Hmm?
The dwelling. What
The
you,
house.
you said you had no electricity.
Well, it was just a little two-room house.
Mhm.
The part, you know, like this was the kitchen, and over, it didn't have no, you know, like a
Yeah, no doubt.
section. Just one big old place, and one part was a bedroom, and one part was a kitchen. And so we slept on the floor. And then, like, my brother would come and make sure there was a lot of wood cut for my mother, and I'd help her. And I never, people say, where was your sister? I go, I don't know. I was always there helping my mother, and we'd have to walk, I would say maybe like a block to get water at the spring. And she'd have these 2-gallon buckets. She'd put it on a pole on her shoulders and pack them up the hill, and then she'd stop halfway and rest. And I had to pack these 2-gallon jugs full of water, where she sewed a barley sack around it and soaked it, so my dad would take it to work and the water would still be cold. And we'd have to do that. And when we run out of low water, go pack it from that little spring to keep it. And especially when we need a bath, how many times we'd have to walk down there to...
Get enough water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So no electricity. You had kerosene lamps.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, had to cook on a wood stove for heat and for cooking.
Yeah, West Point was the same. We didn't have no water. We had to go to the spring and haul water up the hill.
Mm-hmm.
You had no electricity either.
No electricity either. Lamps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The first time we had electricity is when we moved into Murphy's. And that was something.
What did you think?
Huh?
What did you think about that when you
Oh.
saw?
We just didn't like it because it used to hurt our eyes.
Ah.
We got used to it though.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'd play with a switch.
Of course.
New toy.
Now, Mildred, you told me a story about hunting and also doing things in the old way.
Oh yeah, like when my dad would bring home a deer, he'd gut it wherever he killed it and pack it home. I used to go out and skin it. I liked doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to skin the deer and then help my mother when she'd slice it up. They'd always hang it out. They had one little, like a little shed where they'd hang it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I helped my mother when she'd gather acorn, and she taught me how to make the acorn soup. I used to
Sopa?
like that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know how to do that the way she did it, you know, like I was watching my niece when she was doing it, and you know, and I thought, wow, that looks easy the way she's doing it, but the way we did it, well, she even had me, you know, like I did that with Mose one time. I told her, I go, you want to help me, or let's do it the old way, the way I was taught. She goes, yeah. She goes, that sounds fun. So I had that, this, and my legs just got all blue right here because I was pounding the acorn until it turned to you know, where I could put it on a thing to leach it. And I go, this is hard. And I was thinking, those old women used to sit out there on those rocks and do that all day long when they have a big time coming up.
Oh,
I go,
yeah.
man, they must have been some strong women there. And then my son made a table thing with the chicken wire on it and then a screen so we could leach out the acorn meal.
Mhm.
And so we had to go out and get cedar bark to put over top of it. And we did that until all the water turned black when it all started clearing up. And I go, the only thing we got to cheat on, Rose, I go, we got to go cook this on the stove.
Yeah.
So, and it turned out real good.
But when you were very young, it was a different matter. Were women grinding near a water source?
Sometimes they did. My grandmother used to do that down below where Gloria lives. They had a table down there in the spring water.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
She used to do her leaching right there because there was a big grindstone up there
Yeah.
where they pound acorn. Because I used to go up there with her and sit around and stuff while she pounded acorn.
Mhm.
Then they would cook it with the big rocks, like Mildred
Yeah.
said.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
They'd get the rocks hot and ash. Then they'd throw the rocks right in the acorn water and they cooked the acorn like that.
And then did they ever, you know, like put it in water and then scrape it with their hand like that? My mother used to do that. And she'd
Oh,
go,
yeah.
going like that. And then
She'd pick it up and just...
Yeah.
I used to help my grandmother and her mother when they cook acorn down by the spring.
And they'd make the acorn bread.
Yep.
in a
They
loaf.
roll it.
Yeah, and it was just so good.
It was just like a biscuit.
So explain that a little further. I don't quite understand what they did. They had the acorn mash.
Yeah, they cooked it in the boil. That water had to be boiling. That rock would make it bubble like lava.
Mhm.
They would stir it, taste it. Then when they thought it was ready, they would take a cup. It was a little bowl, and they would roll it, and they'd flip that acorn would come out like biscuits in the water.
Yeah, they'd put it in cold water so it turned like jello.
Uh-huh.
And then when it did, then they'd make the little loaves,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that would be the...
it depends how they flipped this way
Yeah,
to
yeah.
where they rolled it.
Uh-huh.
Mhm. Mhm.
But they don't do that no more. Nobody knows how
I
to do
noticed
it.
that, yeah. I was telling
I've
Davine
never
that.
heard of that.
Oh yeah,
But
our tribe still does it. Some of the elder women,
mhm.
they make the acorn bread.
Yeah.
But it's not bread like you guys would eat. It's acorn. You don't bake it in the oven or...
Well, that's good. Back in the day. Now, Mildred, this grinding stone here by you, is that your mother's or yours?
Yeah, Joyce brought this to me. I used to live down by Lois's. And after my mother passed away, I heard this little loud noise coming down the road. She was pulling it down in a wagon. And then she came to the door, and she goes, Aunt Jo, she goes, I brought something for you. And I go, oh, what is it? And she goes, it was Grandma's, and she goes, I want you to have it. And I looked at it, oh man, I go, you brought that all the way down here, and it was hard to lift it up into that little
It's
trailer I used to
heavy.
live in.
I had to carry
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And so, yeah, and this is one she brought, and I've had it. Oh, geez, I can't remember what year it was. I was staying down at Lois's.
Quite a few years ago.
Yeah,
Long time.
yeah, and I've been taking this around with me. And so I told Daryl, I go, when my time comes to go, I want you to have it. I want you to keep it, put it up there, because I know you'll take care of it.
Mhm.
And so that.
So that's very heavy. That was put on a
Between your
woman put
knees.
it between their legs?
Yeah, that's when I had it like that. I was sitting on the ground,
Mhm.
and I was holding it like that, and then I was using this to pound out the acorn. And then when I took it away, and then that night I was taking a shower, man, I saw my poor old legs were just black and blue right where I was holding it like that. And I go, man, and I was thinking of those old ladies. I don't think they done that though.
No, they had long skirts on and stuff.
Yeah, and I think they knew what they were doing. I didn't. I thought I had to, hold it like that, but
Yeah.
it would have just sat there.
Right. Now, this is different from the grinding rocks that we see in the area, to have a single...
Oh yeah, those ones, remember over there in
Yeah,
Pine Grove?
that's just
They
like
were
what
right
my
on the
mother
ground.
is
Okay,
sitting.
Tell me about that.
She's sitting on a grinding rock, a great big boulder.
Okay.
It's off of Highway 88,
Mhm.
across from where she lived, and they used to go up there and pound acorn.
Okay.
And they left their stones and everything right up there.
So they just come back and use
Yeah,
them
they
all the
come
time.
back and they used it. That's her and her neighbor doing acorn. Her neighbor's doing the sifting to bounce all the little tiny acorns that didn't get smashed.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because this is in a magazine in one of the museums.
Uh-huh.
But that's what they, and that's their shade. They had a teepee like over it. Because it's out in the hot sun.
Yeah.
Well, it's in the fall when you're collecting acorns.
Well, they did keep their acorns and they could do acorn anytime.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. They'd get them in big sacks and set them.
Dry them out.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, Colleen, you don't have as many artifacts. Explain to us what happened when you were 12.
All of our artifacts burnt down when our home burnt down in about 1964
Yeah.
in West Point. There was no water, no fire hydrants or anything on Ball Mountain Road. We lived on top of the hill next to where Mildred's mom lived, in that house.
Yeah. Our house burnt down too. We were over at my grandmother's, and my mother happened to go outside, and then she hollered at my grandma. She goes, "Our house is burning down!" And everybody tried to run over there, where they were going to get the water,
Yeah.
trying to save it, but everything burned. And I had my first doll. My Aunt Tessie got me for Christmas. I used to make dolls out of tulies. I used to pull tulies out, and the bulb, that was the head. And the root, I used to fix it so it'd be like hair, and I used to braid it in the stem thing. I mean, with that long leaf looking thing. I used to put that out like that, and I'd put a stick in there, and that would be the arms. And I'd have one of those prong, like you get from a Manzanita, how the limbs will go out like that in this one.
Mhm.
I'd cut it up here, and with the thing, that would be the legs and the belly. And that was my only old doll. When Tessie bought me that, I never played with it. I'd just hold it. I'd put it back in a trunk. And every time I thought about it, it was new. I'd just hold it a little bit, and I didn't want it to get old and raggedy, so I'd put it back in there. The house burned down, and it burned it.
Oh, now right here over on the table, you had made a doll here.
Yeah, I made that out of pine needles. But see, the other ones I made, I had those little black oak balls. I'd get the little ones, and I'd put that for the head, and I'd paint the little face.
Yeah, oak balls made for dolls.
And I'd cut the little dress out. I made one like this one time before I moved down to, before I moved to Stockton, I used to go visit Davine. And I made one like this. I was teasing her daughter. I go, "Voodoo." She screamed. She ran. She got scared. She goes, "Oh, that scared me." Yeah, but I used to make stuff out of that too, and out of regular pine needles, make the little dress.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's interesting, you just use everything around you.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And I have a lot of uses for different plants. Do either of you have some plant stories or uses of plants?
The plants.
We use willow, what is it, rosebud,
Yeah, and then that,
bear grass,
what do you call that?
Kachina?
Soap root?
soaproot.
Yeah.
I should have brought mine.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah.
Oh, I lost mine. I had
Yeah, we
to
make
make
brushes.
brushes out of it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And this last year, on our property there, there was a active spring at one point. It's not anymore.
Oh.
But now, in the last few years, soap plants have come up
Oh,
everywhere.
my gosh.
And I didn't see them before, but there's a lot. If you guys want any.
Yeah, I'd like to
Yeah.
have some.
That
You
would
wash
be-
your hair with the soap.
Yeah.
So you're washing your hair. you
Make
can-
a brush out of them. You use a
Making a
brush like
brush.
you do everyday brush to brush things.
Mhm. And then the brush was used when you were grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So many uses for that plant.
Oh, yeah.
What other plants?
Yeah. And I know Michelle put these in there.
Yes.
I wouldn't know how to use a bow and arrow.
So bow and arrow were used though?
No, no. My dad used to use a 22 when he went out to.
A regular modern day gun.
Yeah,
They all had guns.
yeah, and that was the only way we got meat, and that's why nowadays, like, we didn't just run to save money to get it out of the freezer. We had to make sure it didn't spoil.
Yeah.
Right, because
Yeah,
you didn't have
they'd get,
refrigeration.
like a wet sack, and they'd keep wet, and they'd put it over whatever was left hanging in the shed to keep it from spoiling and keep flies from getting on it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then I used to go with my mother to pick watercress, and then we'd pick that clover.
Yeah, I used to do that in the field with Tessie.
Yeah, I used to love that. Yeah. So we did quite a bit.
You harvested other plants in season?
Acorns, that basically pine nuts,
Mhm.
Mushrooms.
mushrooms.
I wouldn't know how to pick a mushroom. I'd probably pick a poison one.
I wouldn't either know how. I didn't pay attention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then they'd pick those great big brown-looking ones that grew underneath the manzanita. They'd pick those, and then the little small ones that they all grew in a field.
Mhm.
We used to go every time pick those.
And how about the potatoes?
Yeah, and wild potatoes, wild onions.
Yeah, wild onions.
Mhm.
Yeah, I picked a lot of those. Then my mother always picked gooseberries and made jam.
Those are prickly.
And elderberry.
Oh,
Yeah, and then you'd get a rock, like two little flat rocks, and roll it in between
Yeah,
those
you
and break
roll it.
Oh,
the little
okay.
things off of it.
Yeah.
And your elderberries.
Yeah, and picked elderberries for jams. Yeah, my mother used to can a lot.
All
She
right.
was strong too, and she just. know
I
how she
didn't like
did it.
canning season because them elder ladies would come and pick on me, and I hated peeling tomatoes. I'd have to stir for hours in a summer heat over a wood stove.
Oh,
Shit.
okay.
But they used to can.
Oh, yeah.
Now, how did they do that?
They put big pots on the stove and they'd cook it for hours. They had their own way of using canning jars. They didn't have canning jars, they used jars.
Yeah. Like whatever was left over from whatever they had, they'd save the jars and use those for the canning jars.
And so no one got sick?
No added preservatives.
And we knew when there was going to be company, we'd get fed early.
Oh.
And we couldn't go near the house when there was company there.
Yeah, you
We had to
stayed
stay
out.
away.
No kids were running amok and
Or interrupting. And it was rude or disrespectful to go up and, say, can you tell me this, or who is that, or what is this? We couldn't do that.
yeah.
We couldn't ask any questions because it was rude. It was disrespectful to the older ones to do that.
Tell me about the elders and how that fit into the cultural part of your tribal. There's a certain way that elders are treated and such that's different.
They're supposed to be respected, but they don't have that no more.
No.
No, it's not now, but back in the day, how did that go?
They always had to show respect to them, like, like if you saw elder come in, the kids would have to get out of the way. They couldn't be there, like if they tripped on them or something. Or some of the older ones would help them, but the little ones, they had to stay away. They couldn't be around there. Or like being there, like if they're talking, we couldn't listen to what they were saying.
Yeah.
I mean, kids will hang around it. They're not listening to what they're saying, but it was just disrespectful for them to be around when they're having company. And so that's why, and then even when they ate, we couldn't be there. That's why they fed us early, and we had to stay away till company left. And then the elders, I used to lean back in the house, listen to them talk, because it was really interesting. Sometimes I used to wish I could remember the things they used to say.
In the language.
Yeah. And like my brother, my grandmother taught him how to talk. And then some of the words, like before he passed away. Some of the words he said, I didn't know what he was saying. I couldn't understand what he was saying because it was the old Miwok language.
Yeah.
And the two of you were talking earlier about the fact that even within the Miwok tribe, there's different dialects. And of course, Washoe, Paiute language, not the same. So maybe you could talk a little bit about language.
Our language is completely different. And it's taught to the kids. They start as young as 4 or 5 years old. They start talking to them. They pick it up fast. And we don't have very many elders left, you know, and it's dying.
Do you have anyone to talk to?
No. My son, but throw little words, he understands very little.
What about you?
I don't have anybody, not anybody older than me. That's why I'm kind of losing the language because some you know, like there's nobody to talk to, and people come up and ask me, how do you say this?
Yeah.
And I'll say, oh, I gotta think about it first.
Yeah.
Because right off my head, I can't tell them what it means.
I got a cousin I go to, and I'll ask her. She does all the prayers and stuff around Lake Tahoe and everything. And they always go to her. And I have to go to her, too, to ask certain words, because I like, she says, we have nobody to talk to.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
I used to like to listen to my dad tell stories. It used to be interesting. And when I was little, I don't know why I hung around them all the time. And they'd have the little bonfires, and they'd get a little, you know, a little fire water, and they'd start singing and dancing around the fire. I'd sit by my mother and listen to them, and then I'd see those. That's what used to scare me. And I told my son Daryl, when we start going to the hand games, I go, it's funny how I can sing these songs I used to be afraid of. I guess because those big shadows, you know, from the fire, when I'd see them, I used to get scared. It looked like they were coming toward me when they'd dance around the fire.
Can you remember a story your father told you?
Yeah, well, there was that one about the Little Mermaid. They said that these young men used to go down fishing, and they went down to this, I don't know if that, I think that was South Fork. They went down there fishing to a certain place, and there was right around in there's a whirlpool. And then they said they were down there, and then they kept hearing this funny noise. They didn't pay any attention to it. And then one of the guys went there, and they saw this. They said it was a real pretty girl, and they could just see her from her waist up. And then she'd come out of the water. When they'd see her, she'd duck, and she'd go back under the water. And so one time he went there by himself, and she captured him, and she told him, she go, don't tell that you were here with me. And she took some of her hair and made a bracelet, put it on his wrist, and she goes, if you tell where you got that, she goes, the next day you'll be gone, you know,
Yeah.
like he'd die. And so they kept asking him, oh, where'd you get that? You know, they go, oh, hey, how'd you get that bracelet on your wrist? And he goes, oh, I found that. He goes, I just found that, and I just liked it, so I put it on there. And they go, that's real hair. They go, you got it from somebody. Where did they kept on? And I guess one time they were all partying, and he told. And they said, then they found him in his house. He was dead. They don't know how he died.
Yeah.
And she told him if he told, that's what would happen.
Yeah. We have the same thing.
A similar story?
They take you. If they take you underwater. And they live under there. But if you tell where you've been and stuff, like Mildred says, you'll die. Of course, you're not supposed to talk about it.
Yeah, there was one time, me and David and Nina, there was a place where you could get watercress, you know, where the old road going to Sonora,
Yeah.
over there, and there was this water tank where they'd have water across there, and down over the hill across the road, there was a nice big old place. There was a lot of good watercress was there. And so Nina and I sat up in the car, and David went down. He goes, you guys would wait here. He goes, I'm going to go down. I'll get some of that watercress, and he goes, then we'll go. And he was down there, and then we kept hearing him saying, what in the heck? He'd say, we go, what the heck's going on? And then he'd come up, and then Nina goes, where's the watercress? I thought you was getting some. He goes, you want the watercress? You go down there and get it. He said, because this mermaid, he goes, when he was cutting it, he could hear, you know how like when a cow's hoof gets stuck in mud, it'll make that popping sound?
Mhm.
He kept hearing that. And he goes, at first I kept hearing this thump, 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 like noise underwater. He goes, I ain't paying attention to it. He goes, I wanted that watercress. He kept cutting it. And then he said, then he heard like something come out of the water. And he goes, I don't know, maybe it's some kind of beaver or something. And he was just interested in the watercress, and then he heard it again, and he goes, he kind of turned like that, and he saw this, like, the top of her head go back under the water. And that's when he said he just left everything. He come running up. He said, I'm not coming here anymore. He goes, in Miwok they call it Husepi. He goes, Husepi tried to grab me. He said, I'm not going there anymore. He goes, I guess that's her watercress. She don't want nobody touching it. So we never went there anymore.
Interesting.
I know.
Now, your brother David spoke a lot of the language.
Huh?
Dave spoke a lot of the language.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he did. Yeah. I have some tapes with him when Suzanne was talking to him up there, and he was telling her about this one deer they called that you can't kill it. It's just like a spirit deer,
Mm-hmm.
and they go that when you see it, you're supposed to ignore it. And they said some of these guys stopped coming from the Avery Road comes in towards Sheep Ranch, you cut across, and they were coming across that one field that's it's just like a field through there, and they saw this deer, and they go, hey, let's get us that deer. And so they'll stop, and they were trying to shoot it, and it'd run so far, and it'd stop, and it'd look back at them. And then, so the guy'd say, I'm going to get it. And so the guy went in the car and was like following him. And he goes, every time he got close enough to shoot it, he'd run. And it was like drawing him somewhere. And then when he said, I can't get it. He goes, oh, maybe some other time we will. And when he went home and told, he goes, if you would have shot that and brought it home, you would have been killing somebody in your family. Because that was the spirit deer. And he's coming to see who was going to get him so he could take somebody out of their family. So that was kind of scary. Yeah.
What are some other stories from perhaps your grandmother?
There was this one, this rock man they called the Yayali, and they said that they used to, and then I was thinking it must have been like so the kids wouldn't go away from the yard, because they said they'd tell them, don't go across that fence because that old Yayali will get you. And they said the kids wouldn't, some kids they carried away and they want to go. And then they seen this big guy, like he was a big rock man, and they said that he used to go around there and he'd catch young girls or pregnant women, and he had a big old rock-looking thing on his back. He'd throw them in, and that's how he ground them up. And they said that's why they told him to stay away. You don't have to go that way. And then they said that I got it written down. And they said that then these guys went out there, so they hunted him down and they climbed up in a tree. Can you see a rock man climb a tree? And they said that so they wanted to get rid of him, so they started a fire below that tree. And then when the tree burned and fell, they said he shattered. That's how you get gravel and sand, is from that rock.
You're stepping on rock man then.
Yeah.
Did you have similar stories to that, Colleen?
Not really. We had a bird that used to fly around Lake Tahoe, and he would pick up babies, throw them in his basket.
Interesting.
Yeah, he had a basket they say had like obsidian on the inside and crush him up. So people didn't fool around that big rock up there, because that's where that big bird lived.
It's kind of similar. Do you have
Yeah.
one about Eplali?
No, I know this one about this, let's see, it was the coyote and the little lizard, but they called the coyote the Oleche and the little suckety. And so the coyote told that it was sort of like betting the little lizard he could get across the river, because, the little lizard couldn't get across the river because he was afraid to get in the water. And so he goes, okay, he goes, I can get over there before you. And so he goes, well, you go first. So the coyote jumped in the water, and then when he jumped in, the waves come out, and so there was a driftwood, and the little suckety jumped on that driftwood, and so every time the coyote would swim, it'd push it further and further over to the other side of the river. And then when he got over there, because then the ledger, he just lay there, like swimming around saying, well, I'm way ahead of him. He's not even in here because he's afraid of the water. And so that little suckety was already halfway over there. And then when he swam again, the waves pushed that driftwood up on the bank, and he got up there, and they said he was jumping up and down like that. He was saying, I won. And they said, that's how we got our
fingers.
Ah.
Otherwise, we would have had paws.
Yeah.
I thought that was cute.
Well, what about Uzumate, black bear?
About the what?
Black bear. Uzumate?
Somebody.
Usumade? Is there any stories around?
I just remember that my mother always told us not to be afraid of the bear because they were like our brother and sisters.
Yeah.
And she'd say that that's why nobody's supposed to kill them. Or she wasn't never anybody offers you any bear, don't eat it because that's your relative.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us not to. And so one time we were up at Sourgrass, and me and this lady was over there, and I saw this bear up there across the river. He was up on the hill by that cave. And I said, oh, I said, hey, somebody, hi, somebody. She goes, don't call him down here. I go, why? I go, he's across the river. By the time he gets across the river, we'll be gone. She goes, no. She goes, they can swim real good in the water. She goes, just because they're big, it's not going to mean that he can't swim. I go, stay there, somebody, don't come down here. Because he just looked like that, looked at us, and I went, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't hear any stories about him, except that they said that we weren't supposed to,
Yeah.
kill him.
Right. I think that goes through a lot of different tribal groups, this relationship with bear.
Yep.
Well, Colleen, would you share some of the artifacts you brought? You have a cradle board.
It's a doll cradle
Doll
board,
cradle
and it's
board.
over 50 years old.
Oh, wow.
And when I put it in the water, the buckskin took and broke off yesterday, so I have to take it apart. And each little girl gets a basket like this to play with. They put their doll in there.
Mhm. So who made it? Do you know?
My aunt made this basket for her daughter, and she has a cradle board in Chassé. If it's still there, she has 2 cradle boards in
She
there.
made, yeah.
She makes She used to make baskets. She had an award and stuff for Chassé.
What's her name?
Juanita Snooks.
Oh, okay. I know that name.
Yeah, there's Juanita Snooks, and David Snooks was the gourd man.
Mm-hmm.
He made the gourds.
Yeah.
And this basket here is a gathering basket for acorn, for pine nuts.
Yeah.
A man had given it to me. He made it for me before he passed, and he made it out of rosebud, see? That's why the color's like that. It has a strap, and you put it on your back, and you pack your stuff you gathered. And this is
Wow.
the weaving material that they use for the basket.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the willow kind of.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
it is.
wow.
It's willow.
Yeah. Oh.
You wet it, and you can just bend all directions.
There's something else in there.
I don't know what this is. I was going to ask that Joe what it was.
I've seen that before too.
You could weave with it.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I used to go to the basket weavers thing, and I seen a lot of those ladies. I tried to make a willow basket. I can't because
Yeah.
of my hands. You got to really.
Yeah, they soak it and they could weave it. They make it round.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But he gave me all this. Then when he passed, he gave me a rattle and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But he made it so.
They were so creative way back then.
Yeah.
Everything they made was
I'm trying to figure out how they made the bottom, the cone shape,
Yeah, and how it stays together.
for years.
And the baskets that were woven to hold the hot rocks,
Oh,
and
Yeah.
also the sopa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they use
Waterproof.
what they call a spoon when they lift the hot rocks out. It's
Mhm.
like a stick.
Manzanita or something?
I don't know what it was made out of, but it holds heat.
Mhm.
They could lift the rocks and just put them right in the water.
Well, my mother used to use a willow, with the prong,
Yeah,
and she'd just hit the rock like that. When it gets stuck in it, then she'd pack it over and dip it in hot water, then put it in the acorn meal.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so
What about songs?
a song.
no, I'm not no singer.
Well, at big time, it's usually
They
the
play
men
hand
who
game,
were singing,
yeah.
right? What's the tradition there?
Mm-hmm.
The dancers have their own songs, and hand game is a different
Yeah.
situation.
Talk about hand game, because you're still
Hand game.
practicing, you're still
Yeah,
playing.
we just went to one last Saturday. We lost. We hung in there 4 teams. Yeah, well, you get those little bones. I should have brought them. I never thought of it. They're bones. Some people get them so big, I can't even hold them in my hand.
Mhm.
And then ours is probably about like that. And then you hide them. Well, then one is a white bone, and they call the other one a black bone. Either you put black tape around it or something, and that's the black bone. And then you gotta hide. It's sort of like a pea in a shell,
Mhm.
but you hide it. I mean, you place it in your hands, and they gotta guess which hand you got the black bone in.
Ah,
And then while they're singing,
and there's
And,
special songs,
huh?
special songs
A
for
special.
hand games.
No, they just any song they'll sing, and then while they're singing, the guy he'll point and he'll say ho, and if you have, then you just bring out the bone. If he's pointing this hand, you got it in this hand, you just show him it's in this hand, and then you get a stick, because they'll have, I think it's 10 sticks, and if you get all of those, then your team wins.
It could
And how
go
many
on.
on a team?
Huh?
What, 6, 7?
We have 5, but there's only 4 of us, and sometimes there's like 50 teams. Got to try to be lucky enough to beat them all.
Yeah,
But it's fun. I like going there, whether we win or not.
right. It's a social event,
Hmm?
social event. People get together, they see each other.
Well, we went to Orville. That was our first one, because we were going all over. We even went to Bishop, and that COVID knocked everything out of shape. And that was our first one we went to since the COVID thing started. So now we're waiting for another, wherever there's another one. We missed the one in Reading.
Yeah, now, are those multiple tribal groups, or just Miwok?
They're all tribes.
All
Yeah,
tribes?
yeah.
Yeah, Washoe play too, so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that's from the old times, still
Yeah.
going on today. That's great.
Of course, they come to Chaussee too, so
Yeah,
Shingle Springs,
Tuolumne.
Tuolumne. So they play hand game all over.
Yeah. The first time we done it, I was nervous. I go, I don't know.
Sure.
Then I got the hang of it, and we just get all excited when George always calls Daryl and he'll tell him, there's a hand game going on. You guys ready? Well, we've been ready. And so we go,
Yeah.
and it's fun.
Now, you've been collecting language, and I've known you for some time now, and you contributed to a book the students and I made.
Mhm. Yeah, I got that bag here with a
It's
lot
right
of
by you, right there.
a lot of the stuff in it.
And you've been most generous sharing language with us.
Oh man, that sucker's heavy.
Okay, it's heavy. It's not
Yeah,
as heavy
it
as that
is.
grinding rock. I lifted both of those. The rock is heavy.
Oh, this was that necklace she wanted to put up there. I know somebody gave her that. It's Acorns. Let's see. Oh yeah, and this, they used, some guy gave me this, but he didn't cut in the hollow there.
Is there a reason they have to cut a hollow there?
Yeah, because then when you, see, it doesn't sound,
Yeah,
when
the
you do
one
that, then it'll.
that was given to me don't have a hole
Yeah,
there either.
because
so
that makes the sound come out better.
I got a bamboo one that'll really snap. It's
Oh.
about that big.
Well, explain what that is for
It's a
people.
clacker
Huh?
stick.
It's a clapper stick, but
Yeah.
what's the Miwok name for it?
Takata.
Takata. It's
Mhm.
like the sound it makes. But tell a little bit about that clapper stick.
About this,
Mhm.
it's just like to keep rhythm with when you're singing. You play it, and then mostly men play it.
Mhm.
Daryl made me some, and every time I get one, it disappears.
Hmm.
I'll put it up, and I think, oh, I'll take it to the next hand game, and I go to look for it. I can't find it, and I don't know how many he made. I go, Daryl, I go, there's somebody up there that want me to have one. I go, because every time you make me one, it just disappears.
Now, it's made out of a specific kind of wood.
Uh,
Elderberry?
yeah, this is elderberry,
Mhm.
but yeah, he didn't make that.
Yeah, I was wondering. I got mine from Mount Madonna. A little boy gave it to me at an elders gathering. He made it.
Oh.
It'll clack, but I
It
didn't know
allows
it's
that
supposed to have
top
a
piece to
hole.
have more mobility.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bamboo one I have.
Yeah.
This one I got at Sourgrass. Some guy gave it to me.
Yeah.
Talk to me about sourgrass.
Sourgrass. The first time we went there, before they even started, everybody fighting over who was going to take over there.
Yeah, me, you, and Uncle Lester went up there.
Yeah. We used to go up there and just
We
just to
went
be
to
there.
see it before it opened.
Now
Yeah.
tell us about sourgrass and where it is and why it's important.
I guess it's where it probably used to be a village. there.
Yeah, that's what they say.
And then, I can understand why Evelyn named it, what was that?
Whoopalahi blue or something.
Yeah, something, Wakalu. That's Swift River, and it has nothing to do with sour grass. Sour would be Mukmaka Sakate, sour grass. So I don't know.
But
Yeah.
it's now developed into,
State Park.
is it?
I don't know.
It's not pleasant up there no more.
No,
It just lost the energy.
they killed all the spirits, good spirits that were
Yeah.
there, because they're fighting over it. Yeah.
You can't go there. Our family's going there.
Yeah.
So,
It's like the roundhouse in West Point. Certain people can't go there.
yeah,
And so it's just,
it's just there, a circle.
yeah. It's like bad vibes go there, and I wouldn't go there anymore. Because it'd be like I'd be taking something bad home.
Mhm.
And I don't
Yeah,
want
that's
to.
why you smudge off when you get home.
I don't like that when people do that, like, oh, I don't want that person here. Oh, that person there. And then I just think of, it isn't good to go there. Because then, like, maybe that person that they don't want there is somebody you knew all your life, and then you hate to tell them, well, you can't go.
Mhm.
Yeah. So,
It's like a ghost place now.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's sad.
yeah.
Mhm.
It's, and then when somebody says, oh, this person can't go here, can't go there, and so on. That's like certain person said that about Daryl at Chaucer, so we don't go there. And then in the sweats, we quit going to the sweats.
So what booklet do you have there?
This is one I did, me and Sylvia did this one. Yeah.
And Sylvia's your daughter.
Well, we started doing these, and then I told her, I go, maybe we should start our language and make a little book. I go that way because when some of the words I forget, you'll have them down,
Mhm.
and then and then you can go back to them. Like if the kids wanted to learn, you could go back to the book, and then they could start. Because sometimes it's hard to pronounce these words, like. And like some of the words, if you don't pronounce them right, you'll be saying a nasty word.
And is there a difference between male and female in the language?
Yeah,
There's endings, right?
like when the some of the words are like it's oh, what was that one now? Oh, I forgot now. Some of the word they'll say. Oh, there was one word. I knew it too. See how I'm forgetting everything. Oh man.
We were talking about the endings. Didn't you tell
Yeah.
me a story about someone who learned a language from their grandmother and then he was told you're talking like a girl? Is that you?
That was. Well, I know Daryl said that he was. When my dad's one taught him, and he goes, and one day he said something, and my dad goes, he goes, how come you're talking like a woman? He goes, huh? He goes, the way you pronounce that word, he goes, that's the way a woman pronounces it. And he goes, I didn't want to tell him, well, that's how you taught me. But I just said, oh.
Oh, well, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, God, I just can't remember it.
Well, don't worry. Talk a little bit about this,
Okay.
because we worked on this project together,
Oh,
along with Dave, your brother.
oh,
And maybe you could say the blessing that's at the beginning of the book, because you were kind enough to give us a blessing in Miwok. Do you remember that?
no, I don't remember.
There it is,
Uh,
right there.
uh,
We went over and over it because I was listening to the language, but since it's not a written language, I was having difficulty how I would write it down.
uh-huh.
Do you remember that?
Oh, okay.
Could you say it for us?
Okay. Kuchi hiemai oksabako neto sakeko onikseko icha ametama upolisa hayapo uni sisani hilala husika oksapa neto ima alatan kani ametama hayapoi uni neto Zuleko Icha. Oh, I asked grandfather to come and bless this place inside and out. And I asked permission to be here and my spirit helpers too. And the other one I asked, I sometimes I forget it, and I was blessing the little kids and the grandparents too. And thanking the old people for teaching us the things they taught us. And that, you ever been to the casino in Jackson?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you know the where you can drop people off and they go in that door where that big buffalo is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, did you see that prayer right there next to it? That's mine, that's this one.
Oh.
Because I saw that one day and I kept seeing that and I told Davy and I go, because she goes, you can go in or wait for me. I go, well, I'm going to read this thing here. I got to keep looking at that. I want to see what that is. And I went over, she came over, I go, that's my prayer. And they didn't even tell me they put it there.
Oh.
They put your prayer up without asking you.
Yeah, they just put
Permission
it
is
there.
important, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because I asked you if
Yeah.
we could use that prayer
Mm-hmm.
at the new mural in McCollum Hill,
Yeah.
but I asked her first, and if
Yeah.
you said no, I'd say fine.
Yeah.
But you said yes,
Uh-huh.
and I'll take you there to see it when it's all done.
Oh, okay.
But it's up on the wall, With-
Oh.
the Miwok and the English.
That's
Oh.
good.
Yeah, Davine's daughter asked me too. She goes, is it okay if I use your prayer for opening prayers when I go to the things? I go, yeah, Raquel. I go, "Good, that you'll be keeping it going."
Right.
And I go, yeah. I go, you're Miwok. I go, yeah, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, oh, thank you. And then she was doing that Christmas thing and they had it on the news. And I heard that, and I called Davy, and I go, hey, I go, what are you guys doing using my prayer? She goes, huh? I go, no, I'm kidding. I go, I just heard Raquel when they were showing that on the news.
Mhm. Yeah, permission is important. And tell about this photo of you, this really
Oh,
magnificent.
that's when the first time Adam was doing that, all those crafts and stuff like he does at Chelsea.
Yeah.
He started it up there at the Rancheria, and Rose Mose, her and I went up there, and she goes, let's go up there and see what that's about. And I, okay, so they were doing craft work, and somebody told us, they go, if you got anything craft work to do, take it with you, and you can do it out there. And so that's why we were doing that. And then I made a basket first, and then I started making those little medallions out of pine needles. And I didn't know that old Rich Hoffman was taking pictures. And so I went to the casino, I think it was a month later, and I was sitting at the machine, and I felt somebody touch me on the shoulder, and I looked back, and this girl says, hey, she goes, I just seen your picture in Ione. And I go, what? I go, no, she goes, I seen you in Ione. I go, I don't go to Ione. I go, not unless I have to. She goes, no, I saw a picture of you down there in the window. And I looked at her, she goes, I'm not kidding. She goes, Rich Hoffman got it in his, whatever you call that thing
Art
down.
studio.
Yeah, she goes, there's a big old picture of you right in that window. And I go,
And I kind of felt like he should have asked permission.
Yes, he should have asked
yeah,
for
because I
permission.
didn't even know.
You didn't know, so what happened then?
And then my grandson seen that in the window. And then when they come back, when he was his little friends, and he told his dad, he goes, Dad, he goes, stop, because I want to see Amma. And they thought they hit me outside the road or something. And so he stopped, he goes, see in that window, he goes, that's Amma, I want to go in there and see. And he went in and told that Rich Hoffman about that picture, and so he told me, he goes, you can take it. He goes, I got another one. He goes, go ahead and take it. And on the back, I think it was on the back somewhere right there, I saw where he was selling it for, I think, $200 and something.
Yeah.
I would have told him, where's my half?
Yeah.
I didn't give you permission.
And, he could have said, well, I got a picture of you in the window. And if that lady didn't tell me, I wouldn't even known it was
No.
there.
Yeah. Well, it's a fabulous picture. But there's also that story of appropriation.
Yeah, they did that to my mother up in Loyalton.
Mhm.
An artist took and drew her picture, and then she put it in a store window without asking my mother.
Mhm.
Well, I think I was in my 50s in that one.
Mhm. Mhm.
So is that you up here too?
Yeah, I was 16 years old then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God, I wish I was that skinny again.
16, and that looks like you're up in West Point.
Yeah, it is. No, White
No,
Pines.
White Pines.
Yeah,
Okay.
we were living in White Pines then.
And there's a picture right behind you, an old-time picture of...
Oh, that's in 6 Mile. That's a
Okay.
picture of my dad. That's in 6 Mile.
Okay, and then the picture next to it is a...
I believe that is,
Grinding rock,
I think that's my grandmother when she was younger. I think that's over in 6 Mile too. Where
That's,
she was,
well, your
because,
grandmother, so what year was that?
oh, God,
Yeah.
that was way before I was born. Yeah, because when we stayed over there, I keep trying to ask Adam if I could, even on my birthday, I go, I would like to go over where I was born while I'm still here. And they keep taking me to the darn cemetery. I go, no, I'm not ready to go there yet. I don't know why he won't take me over there or have somebody take me over there. Because I go, I'll even show you where our grandmother's house was and where she had her place where she used to make acorn.
Mhm.
But he just,
maybe
Still
it's
there.
covered up or something.
I think so. They said he made it into a grape vineyard.
Yeah, see, that's what he
that's
does.
I mean, I could have even just said, well, right there where those grapes are, that's where she used to have her place where she made acorn,
Mhm.
and that's why I go, I don't know.
Yeah, and there's
And
one right over here, picture
Oh yeah, I think that's my grandmother Tilly, but I don't know who that little boy is. If it's Hambone or my dad, I don't know who the little kid is.
Well, that's 6 Mile,
Yeah, that's at 6 Mile
way
too.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then this one.
Oh, I can't see that one, but it's this one. Oh, yes.
These ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I think that's John Jeff, Tilly Jeff, and everybody says that boy is Tex Hodge and Mabel.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's her nephews and niece. And the guy, I think that's Ray.
That's what I thought it was.
And Ray and Laura Guido.
That's who I thought it
Yeah.
was. She looked like Alice Jack.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
Colleen, would you share what crafts you've been doing here? I know you have some right next to you.
Oh, I make basket jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Oh.
very small.
What do you make the
That's
material?
I use raffia and reed, and I learned it from Doris Case.
Oh.
I kept her tradition up. See,
Yeah. Oh, wow. You make them so tight.
that's the basket.
That's out of raffia? Just raffia?
Raffia and reed is like a willow.
Oh.
See, I wrap it,
Yeah. Wow.
and then they're matching earrings.
Look at how tiny those are.
Oh, wow.
See, this is the earrings that go with it.
Wow, that is so neat. I like to make stuff like that. When I see people's different things, I try to copy it. That's why I used to like go to the powwows, and I'd go look at all their
Jewelry.
displays.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, I learned it from Doris Case, and I kept it up. She told me to go ahead and keep it going.
Yeah.
Who is
I
Doris
learned that
Case?
pine needle baskets from that old lady that used to do that at Chaucer. She was from Ione. I can't remember her
Rebecca
name.
Dutchke.
Huh?
Ramona
Rebecca?
Dutch.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's where we got all our crafts,
Mhm.
from them ladies. I used to go the first weekend of the month. They had classes there where all of us got together. Some would be knitting, just the type of crafts they did. Some would be basket making.
And that was her specialty, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Doris, Ramona used little willow. I forgot what she called it. But they keep it on at the Amador Fair. You go into the Miwok village, and there'll be somebody up there making little stuff.
All the time I went over there, I've never ever went there.
Yeah, they sit up there, Sam Boggs and
Yeah.
all them.
Oh, wow. Oh, David and Silas.
Silas could speak a little too, can't he?
Yeah. Oh, Silas got his feelings hurt up there at Lois's. Because I know me and Lois and Davine used to always talk about when we died, what we wanted done and all that, who we didn't want singing for us and all that. And so she used to always say, if I want anybody singing for me, she goes, it'd be Daryl and Silas. And so Silas did when they brought the body up there. He sang because I was sitting out there. And Alex asked me if I wanted to go in. I go, no, not right now. And then Daryl and Rita came over, and Daryl went in and sang to her. And then the next day, when we went over, Daryl said he heard that they said they just wanted her grandkids, with Mr. Ray and the rest of her grandkids, singing for her. They didn't want anybody else. And I guess somebody told Silas that, and then he left. And Davine goes, she goes, I'm gonna have to call him up and ask him who told him that. She goes, because it wasn't said, nobody said anything like that. And I go, well, that's what Daryl said. He goes, so they said they didn't want anybody else singing but Mr. Ray and the other grandkids.
Mhm.
And
Well, we should say at this point, just recently, an elder passed in West Point, and so we were all there at Sandy Goats the other day, But I wanted you to talk about the differences, not about what happened on
Yeah.
the other day, but talk about cultural traditions that are different between Washoe and Miwok people.
Oh, we don't view the body in evening time. We view from morning, we say the prayer in the morning, and then when we leave that person, we say an evening prayer. But we never sit, we never stay up all night. And when we bury her on the fourth day, we believe that's when her spirit leaves, or he. And then when she goes, we put all her personal possessions right in with her. Her clothes, her favorite hobbies and stuff will go with her.
Mm-hmm.
Then the rest we destroy. Unless she gave it to you. We don't put living pictures in the casket. We don't display pictures.
And so how is that different from the Miwok tradition? Just recently, I think the viewing went on night and day.
Yeah, well, like, they wait after they pass away, then they have them in the mortuary or wherever they have them. And then, like Colleen said, then 4 days, then they start putting her away. And after she's buried, then on the fourth day, in our way, they start gathering, what her favorite things were, and then they burn it. Or if it can't be burnt, they bury it. And then after that, then they have a dinner. And they're, like sending stuff up to her. And like maybe they'll sing some songs or say some prayers and stuff like that. And then they're supposed to smudge the house out, but I didn't see them do that.
Yeah. Both of you, your tribes do smudging.
Yeah, they just started the smudging with us. They use juniper, but now they use sage.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandson, who is part Navajo, and Miwok, they do it different. And when we got home, he said, "Grandma, don't get out of the car." He says, "I'm going to smudge the car and you off. Then you could go in the house."
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he done. Because he helped bury out there and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because he just loved Lois.
I think everybody did.
And she always liked him because she said he was a respected young man. He wasn't like the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
He always treated her nice when she went in the store. And
Mm-hmm.
he helped her all he could.
Right. So there's some differences in terms of
The smudging.
the smudging and also what you're doing in those 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And there's usually a ceremony at the graveside, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually. And then, do you guys believe in, you're not supposed to go to the cemetery after 4 o'clock in the evening? Because they
We
say
don't.
then you disturb the spirits, and you could take bad energy back to your house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If you go there. So,
So you only go in the daytime?
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, both of you,
Oh, yeah, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
and for
It's kind of
sharing
fun to,
this.
kind of like you're bringing back stuff that we probably would have forgotten, and then we think,
Yeah.
keep it alive, sort
It
of
was
like.
nice for you two to talk together because then you could remember things
Yeah,
since you grew up there.
we usually do that anyway, huh, Carlene?
Yeah.
We always, ask, the difference between what she does compared to what we do,
Mhm.
and yeah, I like that.
Yeah, because my kids are part Miwok, and my son just loves Joey. He calls her Joey. Or kangaroo.
Kangaroo, yeah, because Joey is a baby kangaroo.
Yeah, that's what he
He's
calls
called a
her.
baby kangaroo.
Well, people call you Aunt Joe.
I call him Big Kangaroo.
See, he's big kangaroo.
Yeah, all the kids now call me Aunt Joe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then some of the ones that know me, when they used to know me when I was younger, they'd say, what would you prefer, Joey or Mildred? I go, whatever you used to calling me, it don't matter to me. Because they said Margaret used to get mad when they'd call her Tootie.
Yeah, don't call me Tootie.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That's her name,
Tootie, it's a
Tootie.
nickname. They just,
Oh,
yeah.
Everyone's got a nickname. See, Lollipop. And
Mhm. But then there's usually you have a Miwok name. that
not
you're
really.
given.
Grandpa Mose, they say, couldn't say Arlene. So he came up with Lollipop.
Yeah, I got a little book I'll have to show you. I wrote down all the old Indian names they called people, and me and Davy was cracking up laughing. Because, let's see, my mother was, what the heck was her name? Oh, man. I can't think of it now. Can't do it.
In the way old days, though, you didn't have, your grandmother didn't have English names, right?
Yeah, they said that's why a lot of them gave them different names. You know, when the non-Indians start meeting with them, they gave them not no Indian names because they couldn't spell the names they had.
Yeah.
So they just changed them and gave them different names.
Yeah, we had an incident like that. His name was Umbi. That was his Indian name and his regular name. So the boss, when he wrote him a check, put Gumby instead of Umbi. They thought that was hilarious. So they weren't given a white name.
Right.
So we laugh about it, you know.
Oh, my
Gumby.
mother's Indian name was Samusko.
Yeah.
Irene was Poopang. Lula was Lukchu.
Look, you.
And my grandpa Dewey was Tuicha. Lester was Letta. I have it written down. When I think about it, I write them down.
I'll have to get it from you so I could give it to my daughter. She's writing everything down too for her kids,
Oh,
That's wonderful.
because her kids are part Filipino. And what's-
Esther's kids?
Esther's Paul is part Filipino.
Oh, I
His
didn't
dad-
know that.
His dad is Filipino.
Oh.
His mother is from El Salvador.
Oh.
And then he followed the Washoe tradition when my daughter had her baby. We call her Aunt Dinah. She's told him, you know, when she has that baby, you have to jump in the river, Cold River.
Oh.
So that's what he done when Dominic was born. But that was July. He said, well, I did it. Then she blessed my granddaughter when she was a month old. She baptized her herself. And then when when my granddaughter was born, she was born in January. That's cold, and he
Oh,
told
yeah.
me, well, Mom, I did it. I went in the river.
Oh.
I told him, you're crazy. He said, well, that's what Aunt Dinah said I had to do. Then
Did
she-
you have a tradition like that, Mildred?
No.
With babies, something that happens, are they named right away, or is there a
Yeah,
time?
she named my grandchildren. She called my son Pella, which is Eplali.
Oh.
So my grandson
Yeah.
is named Rabbit.
Right.
My old Indian name was Yachawi because I was always ragged.
What is that?
Means raggedy, Yachawi, something all tore up.
Oh. Were you a tomboy?
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I used to always tear up my clothes. I was heck for climbing trees. I think they should call me monkey.
Yeah, I tore my clothes too and put safety pins. A teacher would put safety pins on it. I used to fall down and rip my clothes.
Well, thank you. I think we could probably talk longer. And it was wonderful to capture some of your stories, and it was very nice to have you both together because it kind of, you found out, you were surprised by some things
Oh, yeah.
about each other, even though you've known each other a long time. So,
Yep. I
Thank
grew
you.
up there. I always lived with her mother. I used
Yeah.
to spend a lot of time with her mother.
Mhm.
Sit on the porch.
Mhm.
When our house burnt down, she had given me a parrot. little porcelain parrot, and you know, when our house burnt, that parrot did not burn.
Oh.
When I went down there to scavenging around, I found it. I still have it.
Oh.
Wonderful.
She said, I can't give you much. Our birthdays were the same day.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
She
wow.
gave me avocado, one year, a little box of avocados.
Oh, wow.
Well, thank you so much.